gang. Hey, nothing but love and respect. You might have some cool fans, but mine are the best. We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together to the grave. It's a game till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip in the hate. We got all in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
we the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everybody, meteorologist Tuttle back with you again. This is time for your lunchtime live update on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and now Rumble. We're about 10 minutes till noon. This will be about a 10-minute discussion what you can expect later on this afternoon and evening. So thanks for joining me. Make sure you like and share this video. Tell your friends and family about AT's weather so they can get all the good news without all the hype over the spring storm season, because they're going to need it, because you know, we do get our fair share around here. Last couple of days, I did talk about getting one of these. This is a Midland NOAA weather radio. So this is one of the most popular, most easiest ones to use and to program for your specific location. So if you'd like to pick up one of these, in the Facebook comments, I just posted a link where you can just click one from my Amazon store, save a couple bucks. Same thing for you guys on YouTube. I'll post that link there as well. So if you don't have a NOAA weather radio, make sure you pick one up. In addition to using my free live weather app, AT's Weather to Go, it'll warn you for tornado development about 15 minutes before an actual warning or touchdown occurs, giving you a lot more time to seek shelter, and that is an invaluable resource, so make sure you use it. Okay, so enough of that for right now. Let's go and look outside. Currently, hardly a cloud in the sky. We do have a lot of clear blue skies, some wispy thin cirrus out there, and then way off in the distance we are seeing a little bit of moisture starting to show up. Temperature currently much warmer than yesterday or the day before, so we're about 61 degrees here with a nice southeast breeze here in my backyard. Now, I know you're getting excited about planting. I got to warn you, it's still a little early, believe it or not. Our average last, or the date of the last spring that we would see here in Oklahoma typically is going to be right around April 1st. So today, here in Oklahoma City. Other areas in Tulsa, similar kind of idea, the end of March, beginning of April. But you can see April seems to be a common denominator here for our last freeze across many areas of Oklahoma. Some areas will get into the upper or the late days of the March. But, you know, I know you're getting that spring fever and you do want to plan. Just make sure you have a means to cover them up, because we are going to see some more colder temperatures. Speaking of which, this morning we were into the 30s. We did have a light freeze across parts of Oklahoma, especially up to the north and northeast and eastern Oklahoma last night and early this morning. So this kind of sets the stage, kind of typical. So hopefully if you did plant a little early, you didn't get burned out there. All right, well, tell you what, we still need rainfall, and we're going to get some with this system coming in today right over the areas that need it the most. Extreme or exceptional drought is still ongoing out here across western Oklahoma and the Oklahoma Panhandle. East Oklahoma always seems to fare pretty well when it comes to the drought outlook, because it's easier for them to get some moisture out there. Currently, right now, we've got temperatures that are climbing back into the 60s across the state, so that warming trend will continue here for the remainder of today, and we do have a risk of severe weather. It's a marginal risk, which extends out here to western and southwestern parts of Oklahoma, into the Texas Panhandle, and down into northwestern Texas. The main threat is going to be for some wind. Although, as we talked about last night, I do expect some neat cloud structures, and I'll explain that here in a minute. Here's a close-up view of that, and right now, the Storm Prediction Center has not decided to upgrade to a slight risk, just on a marginal for this category. This is the lowest category that there is, and you typically don't see this a lot in the springtime, or usually full-fledged slight, enhanced, or moderate, or even high in some cases. But hail should be pretty small. I doubt we'll see severe criteria size of hail. Tornado potential is very, very low. You might even see a funnel. Could be a vorticity funnel. An elevated one at that, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But the wind speeds, we could have some wind gusts up to around 60 miles per hour or so, with some damaging dry microbursts that may occur with this system. Now here's a look at the upper level storm system right here. This is the area of interest. So this is our upper level low, and this upper disturbance that's moving through this region will swing through the Texas Panhandle and through Oklahoma as we head into this evening, and that's going to set the stage for you to get some of these elevated showers and thunderstorms to develop. Now here's a look at the energy aloft in that on a two-dimensional view here with a flat plane, where you get the brighter the colors indicates the most lift in the atmosphere. And this is for our evening hours, so it's moving through western and parts of central Oklahoma during our evening, which will continue to kick off those showers and storms. Now, what's missing is moisture. All right, so our dew point values are into the 30s. Now, you're like, how do you get severe weather with dew point values in the 30s? Typically, you don't. In this particular case, we're going to have some weird stuff that happens that probably will allow for at least some reports. If you do look at the 8 o'clock hour, though, we do start to moisten things up a little bit here in central Oklahoma, and that is due to some light showers that will move through late this afternoon and early evening before the main line moves in from the west. The main line, of course, will bring its own moisture with it, hence causing the map here to turn green as we head into the evening hours and overnight across Oklahoma as these dew point values go up, just because of the rainfall that falls from several thousand feet above. Now, if we do look at the shear in the atmosphere, there is a ton of it, and this is what's interesting to me. So even though we don't have the low-level instability, we have some very thin, razor-thin, mid-level instability. And that's what's going to help get these elevated thunderstorms to go. But if you look at the shear profile within this, and I'll just pick this spot out here in western Oklahoma, you can see how the turning goes from almost a east-southeast direction at the surface and goes up to a westerly direction within a few thousand feet off the ground. Normally, in the springtime, we see this type of turning. We're like, whoa, big-time tornado event. But we have this big depression here in the dew point, the temperatures. This little onion, this is like what we call an onion sounding. Now, in the springtime, we get these onion soundings in the morning, but then with moisture that comes in and things that mix out, it ends up to a potent afternoon sounding. This time around, it's an evening sounding, which means a lot of dry air here in the middle. So as rainfall falls in the mid-levels to the lower levels of the atmosphere, it will evaporate in this region, and that will help to do one of two things. One, moisten things up a little bit over time, but it will actually help to cause some dry wind transfer from kinetic energy, basically in the form of some dry microbursts. So you have to watch out for some damaging wind in this particular case when you see a sounding like this. But with the shear, as a matter of fact, I didn't look at that here in a minute, but I'll point out on this one, shear values from the surface to 3 kilometers, up around 300 to 400 meters squared per second squared, which indicates a lot of turning with height in the atmosphere. The kickoff here, the reason why we shouldn't see much in the way of like a tornado touchdown is because our cloud level, in other words, the cloud base is way up there. These are going to high base thunderstorms that'll develop. They should be kind of pretty. There should be kind of a Barbara Polish look to them. You might even see a little bit of a wall cloud. Like I said, you might even see a funnel, or at least a vorticity funnel out of them. I don't think they'll touch down, but it would be just a kind of a neat thing to see. If we do look at the replay of the radar, how things ought to move in the forecast element of it, through 6 o'clock, we're going to look for some of those lighter showers moving through central Oklahoma. That's kind of just enough to kind of moisten up the atmosphere just a little bit down toward the surface, which may give these thunderstorms that come in secondary afterwards, after around 8 o'clock or so, a little bit better boost potential for some more of those damaging winds and maybe some of those lower looking wall clouds that we develop with this line. But usually there's kind of an embedded structure like this. It's interesting. If we can get enough saturation at the lowest levels embedded within this with the shear that's around, you could get a freak event of a tornado, a weak tornado. So just saying, I'm throwing that out there. I'll keep an eye on it, but we'll see what happens. I don't expect much, but I'd be a fool not to mention it. All right, here's a look at the potential wind gusts out there in the red areas. Indicates wind speeds in excess of about 50 miles per hour. And there's just a few pockets out here in the Panhandle, some down here in northwest Texas, and then here in central Oklahoma, maybe even southern. Kind of anywhere is fair game, you get a stronger thunderstorm. We talk about the rainfall amounts through this event. It's not a whole lot. It's enough to kind of get things wet. If you put down some fertilizer, it's probably just enough to kind of get most of it soaked in. Here in central and southern Oklahoma, not so much, of course, to the north or east. And, of course, out in western Oklahoma, no problem soaking that in. As amounts down here should easily exceed a quarter of an inch, maybe even half an inch in some areas. So, like we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, western Oklahoma is much better off when it comes to measurable rainfall. Okay, so what's going to happen after this event? We do have some more storms that will work their way in for late Sunday. So here's a look at the latest data for that. It just came in off the presses. All right, so here's Sunday afternoon. Now the big deal is where's the cold front going to be? And the models keep flipping back and forth to where they think this boundary is going to be. But right now they think there's probably going to be a surface low down here in northwestern Texas. Cold front boundary may be stationary up here to our north. And then usually the cold front extends on back down something like this, so the front will kind of continue to drop southward here, but kind of hold up a little bit in this region to allow these showers and storms to develop for Sunday afternoon. So we could see some severe weather in the evening hours on Sunday over central Oklahoma, parts of the south. Those shower storms continue overnight into Monday, and then into Monday things kind of wind down there for the first round, and in the afternoon we should get a secondary round develop. But again, this latest model data kind of keeps the low in this area, kind of keeps the warm front or pseudo cold front kind of in this region, and still drags the rest of the cold front down here. So it's a very slow mover, kind of stagnant, stationary. So in this particular case, you end up with kind of a little dry line situation, usually out here west of Dallas-Fort Worth, and this would be the warm sector where you get most of your rainfall out of it. So it's kind of confined across the southern third of the state, so much so to the north. So still, we have some time to work out the details on this, but just needless to say, that's where the focus is going to be on Sunday to Monday. Then after that, it's dry for a while, so don't look for anything too exciting. Now we talk about another freeze or potential frost. There is one starting to show up here in the data, probably on the frost side, for right around the 8th or 9th as we head from Friday to Saturday of the following week. So again, coming up at the end of next week, where temperatures should be into the 30s and some 40s across the state. So if you are going to plant, again, keep in mind toward the middle of April here, we're going to have at least cold enough for a little bit of that. And as we head into past that point, see if I can see anything else that's coming our way. Nothing. So that may be our last hurrah for anything really cold. So that means you can start putting out those tender vegetation, plants, etc. Okay, so here's a look at how that breaks down. Over the next few days, lovely weather in the afternoon. I mean, temperatures in the 60s and 70s, pretty decent here for the next several days. No 80s showing up yet. As we head into overnight hours, though, a little chilly for our Saturday morning. But if you have a morning garage sale, you're going to want a jacket on. Otherwise, as we head into the next week, temperature's still kind of on the cool side. And here's that bottom dropping out, where we'll probably be into the 30s in this region here in Oklahoma City, upper 30s. So just kind of keep that in mind. Otherwise, you can see a quick rebound, and now we're good to go. So this is what we're talking about. From this point forward, most plants are completely happy, and the Bermuda grass will start to wake up and will start to grow. I know there's a few blades out there now, but it's kind of still in that dormancy shock stage. But once we get into the 10th and 11th, that's when it's going to start to really wake up and start to grow, and then that'll be the end of that. And then we can finally get rid of that brown out there right now. That's a lot to take in, wasn't it? All right, so what I envision with this little system that comes in later on this afternoon and this evening is some nice structure. I'm probably on some of the storms out in western Oklahoma. I might even get like what we call like a little bit of a barber pole, which has like a stack of donuts or something. Could see a little wall cloud underneath. Might even see a little bit of a funnel. High base storms. A freak thing that would occur is if first round of some light showers that moves through saturates the lower atmosphere just enough to where we can still combine it with a little bit of residual instability, to where when a secondary line of some storms that move through in the latter part of the evenings after about 7:30 or 8 o'clock, some of those might actually take advantage of kind of getting more rooted into a boundary layer and take advantage of the shear that's available. If it does so, there's plenty of shear to produce a tornado. It's just we don't have the instability of the moisture. So you have to have the three ingredients. We only have one. But if something weird can happen just on a borderline condition, we can tap into the other two at the last minute, maybe squeeze something out. Like I said, it's a freak event if it were to happen, but it's not completely zero. And it would be an interesting phenomenon given the way the atmosphere looks right now, we don't get this kind of a setup ever in spring. We're always plenty of moisture to work with, and today we're bone dry, so it's kind of an interesting deal. I'll be just curious to see how it all evolves, just as a scientist. So that's what I got here for you, and that's it. So thanks for stopping by here for your lunchtime. Quick weather update. We did in about 10 minutes. We'll do another live update this evening for your weather, and then, of course, if there's going to be any severe weather at all, when it comes to that type of a thing, I may cut in for that as well. But we'll take a look at that later on, and then we'll see what happens on Sunday afternoon and evening across Oklahoma, and again on Monday down into North Texas, and we'll see if anything gets shaken out of that. We have more time to talk about that later. You guys enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Enjoy the end of the work week, and hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk soon. Take care, everybody.